here we are for what month are we? We're in September, so it was August.
Mm-hmm.
And August book was How to Have a New Kid by Friday by Dr. Kevin Leman. Beautiful. Thank you, ladies. So we chose this book because we all deal with teens or families, parents, adults that can benefit from this book. And to Ariana's point, before we started recording, it is very quick. It's straight to the point, but then has all of that applicable, I guess, index in the back where y'all can reference it. It starts the A all the way to, I don't think it goes to Z, but definitely some S's in there.
It's called A to Z. I don't know if there is a Z though.
I don't remember listening to one, but there certainly could have been one in there.
He could have put it in there for fun though. I feel like he's the kind of guy. No, he got to Y though.
You got to Y. Okay.
Yeah.
Yelling was that?
Youth activity. He didn't even do yelling.
That's right. No, because he did screaming. So.
Oh, okay. Youth activities / church youth activities. I feel like that one was kind of a reach because just to get to Y.
Maybe, but to his point, in that topic, he does reference how overscheduled our society is and our kids are, right? And this goes back to what we talked about in the anxious generation last month or month before, July's, whatever, where we have taken play out of kids' lives by overscheduling them and having adults monitor their free time so they don't ever get to learn social norms. Oh, this kid doesn't like it when I hit him over the head with a baseball bat. Like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. Or no, I want to play with this. And so you take it away and now the kid doesn't want to be your friend. So yes, to his point, but that's at the end. So let's go to the beginning. So first impressions of the book. Let me preface real quick that Dr. Kevin Leman is a psychologist, and he is very behaviorally based, which can be very nice when you're at this point in your family where there's this chaos and you're needing his help in general, to go back to behavior. Start with the basics, and then we can build back up again. So this is a book where it is a tear it down and build it back up. And it is hard, but you 100% can have a different interaction with your child. He does have a book by the name of Making Your Child Mind Without Losing Yours. And that's geared towards 3 and 4 year olds, the young ones. Then he has this one that is How to Have a New Kid by Friday. Then he has another one is How to Have a New Teen by Friday. So he does, it's all the same concept, but helped to model it in those age brackets, which I think is very, very helpful for parents who are struggling. So he's also the author of the Birth Order book, which some people of my generation will be very familiar with. So that's a little bit about Dr. Kevin Leman and where his perspective is coming from. So overall first impression, what was your initial reaction to the title?
I would say for me, I'm not a parent, right? But like looking at it because I do work with parents, because I work with their kids, it's like is hopeful, right? And it's for me, and I could see how it could be hopeful for parents where it's like this isn't the end of the road and there is something that you're probably not doing or probably not recognizing, but like there's hope in that. And I think for me, to not even towards the kid, it's like for me, there's hope in this and working with parents if I give them something that could be helpful for them, right? And so that's, and it's like, I like the way that the marketing is really good. It's a very, he's definitely using the colors that the marketing colors, but it just is very like inviting.
Yeah. I thought it was super eye-catching, like the title. I mean, if I was a parent and I was having trouble with my kid and it says have a new kid by Friday, I'd be like, okay, let me pick that up right now. So I think it's a attention grabber.
Yeah,
Yes,
for sure.
and I would agree. And I will, having raised 3 and they're all adult now, young adults, but adults. Uh, I'll be honest with you, there was a little skepticism, like, come on, are you going to be able to conceptualize this and deliver it to be able to to make it easily digestible for a parent to implement, right? And I think, both to your points that neither one of you are parents, but given that, did it feel like absolutely this is doable?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. And it was like so easy to read because he does the hard work, I feel like, in at least 100 pages or less.
Yeah.
88 pages, right? And so it's very easy to read, to even be like, once I do have kids, I'm going to go read this really quick. I'm going to just have these reminders because it's a super easy read. And like it made me hopeful for having kids.
Me
And then
too.
also, I'm a little bit more of a tough love type of person just in general. Um, and so it made me feel as though also I'm not crazy and like I'm not expecting too much from parents. And it's not like me going, oh, I'm not a parent, so I don't know what it's like. So it's easy for me to say X, Y, and Z, right? Whereas it's like, no, I maybe because it's my background and because I went to school for this and like I got to learn child development or even just development in general, that it's like, no, like this is great. It's like validating how I'm feeling about maybe the direction parents should be going in parenting.
Yes, and I think it's nice to break it down and be able to see your children as more black and white, because as adults, because we have developmentally gotten to the point of abstract thinking, we put too much shit into it, right? We put too many emotions in there. Then we're projecting our emotions as an adult. Well, they must be feeling this way. And, it's like, stop, just stop. Kids are looking for consistency and structure and reliability. I do this, this is what happens, right? It is safety by knowing the rules. As adults, we put all the emotional stuff on them. Let's just go back to basics. And so a lot of the times as I was listening to this, we see this more with male therapists. And it's because they have a tendency to be a little bit more concrete thinkers. It either is or it isn't, and we're moving on. Like, stop making a thing out of this. Whereas moms, because we're more nurturing, females are more nurturing, and this is just biological, and it's not to say that this is the way it always is, right? There's gradients in every personality, right? But I'm just doing some stereotypes here, so nobody get upset. Because we're a little bit more nurturing by nature, we can put all of these emotions and stuff into a mix where it doesn't need to be there. So I think it's really nice that you've got these, male, female, yin yang balances. It's not necessarily male, female, but I don't care what your household makeup is, but you've got the personality qualities of that balance, right? And that's what makes parenting easier. I like the fact that I've got a very behavioral, pretty straightforward, partner. It helps me to go, whoa, hold on. I'm getting too into this. I need to step back and just go off behavioral, right? So I think that's a really good part when you've got the partners that can balance that. If you've got two overly concrete individuals, it's going to be a more rigid household, and that's not always what you want, right? If you've got two overly nurturing parents, then lots of times it can be too permissive, and that's not good, right? So we need the balance, and I think it's nice the way he pulls that back.
Oh yeah.
So yes, he sets it up, and this is what we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And then and you were saying it's about 88 pages of here's how to do it. Here's how to conceptualize your interactions with your kids. This is what your kid is. This is why your kid is doing what they're doing. They're looking for attention. They're looking to manipulate. And y'all have heard me say this before. I don't like the word manipulate because I think societally we have a negative connotation. And that's not what we're going for. And when a baby cries, a baby is crying to manipulate and get what they want, right? You cannot tell me that a baby is evil and is crying because of that, right? They need something, right? And they're letting you know that. Same interactions with your kids. If they're suddenly doing cartwheels while you're on the phone, right? He uses this example. They're looking for attention from you. Right? So just understanding what's happening. There's a time and place for it, and he goes over that. But in the back, he then dives in and gives you relatable stories from several different people, right? They're real quotes from people that are saying, this is what's going on in my household. And he may have anywhere between 1 and I think like 7 or 8 quotes in regards to that topic, whether it's bedwetting or screaming or spanking, or whatever. He will have the quotes, and then he will tell you this is then how you respond to it. So I think it's really nice to then he helps you conceptualize and implement.
Yeah, for sure. I think the examples are very helpful, because he gives different kinds of examples for each topic too. It's not just like just this one. So if you're the parent who's like, well, that's not exactly my issue, because we do again have the black and white parent, right? Who is like, well, if that's not my issue, then I don't have to work on that area. And it's like, well, it's not exactly what's going on.
No, that's not exactly what's happening here. And you can benefit by reading all of them, right? Because there was lots of stuff. I'm like, yeah, I didn't deal with that with my kids. But listening to how he would work through it made sense for other topics. So
yeah. What I like too that I noticed throughout the book is it is very repetitive, especially if you're reading through all of them, as far as like the technique and the foundation of what it is that you're putting into practice. But I like that because I feel like it just is just digging the hole deeper in the brain to like do these things, right? And just keeping it in the forefront of the mind, because it's not reinventing the wheel. It's using the same techniques in different ways.
And following through. That's what stuck out to me a lot too, because it seems like a lot of issues can stem from parents not following through with what they say they're going to do. And then the kid is like, okay, well, now I know what I have to do to get XYZ.
And making sure that whatever your consequence is a natural consequence, right? That's hugely important. I think a lot of parents do that often. They just pick some random consequence that they think is a consequence.
Or
but
they
it's
like
not natural.
overdo it.
Or they
Where
100%.
it's like, you're never gonna hang
You're
out with
never.
that person again. It's like, that's not reality.
That's not reality, right? I know I caught a lot of crap because my oldest had a bed that was, 4 inches off the ground. And then it had the footboard. So there was only a 4-inch clearance. And he would shove stuff underneath there, plates of food, stuff that was growing and just nasty. And he would shove, I mean, the kid's only, 4 foot tall. He would shove things in there to where it was a double bed, and they're now in the center. His little arm can't reach, right? I can't reach to get all the stuff out, and things would just grow. And so, smelly socks, science experiments, if you know my kid. And it was, look, if you do not keep this clean, I'm going to check every Friday. If it's not clean, you're going to lose your bed. Right? And he didn't believe me. And he lost his bed frame. Now, did he still have a bed? Yes, the kid still had a bed, right? He had a box spring and a mattress, but it was on the floor. You can't shove anything underneath there anymore. Right? Solve the problem. It was a natural consequence. You can't take care of what has been given to you, then you will lose it. Because he wanted a, big boy bed or whatever. He was like 8, 9, 10.
I like the example he gave of the kid who wouldn't take the trash out. So the mom accumulated all the trash and put it in his
room. And shut the door.
and so it smelled when he got home. And that day he had brought his girlfriend home. So
now you have to know your kid, right? If I had done that for my kid, that's gonna do nothing. It's gonna do nothing. But he is very big on, you don't get B until you do A. Right? And that was very much the way it was in my house. Now, does it cause extra work as a parent? Yes, you have to be present. Every Friday, I got, grade reports from my kids' school, which, now thankfully I was able to set that up to, it was only Friday at 2:30, right? I could set it up when I wanted to get those notifications. I actually got it at 3:30, but I didn't pick up my kids until 4:30. I had the ability to look at it and know what was happening and digest what didn't get done, whatever, before I picked up my kids. That was good. It gave me space so that if I was upset and angry at them because they hadn't done what they told me they did or whatever, I could decompress. And this is a big thing of Dr. Leman's, of not responding when you're emotional, right? Because that's when you'll never, and if we do spanking, then we can potentially go overboard because we are spanking in anger, rather spanking for defiance, for a natural consequence. So there's a difference there, right? But nowadays, parents typically, they don't go in and set the alerts to the grade reports, and they're getting dinged all day long, right? This goes back into the anxious generation. We're getting an average 192 notifications a day, right? I had 3 kids. That was a lot of notifications. Nope. I'm setting my boundaries, and I'm giving my kids the autonomy to make their own decisions. You're either going to do it, you're not going to do it. There's going to be a natural consequence. You got a 0 on that. I'm not fixing it. I'm not calling the teacher. I'm not begging for forgiveness for you. You screwed up. You deal with the consequences, right? And my kids knew if they had low grades, because all of my kids are intelligent, there's no reason why they should have gotten low grades. If they had any missing grades, they had any teacher comments, whatever, they knew they were going to have a conversation with me, and they didn't get their privileges that weekend. They didn't get to go and hang out with their friends. They didn't get to go for the bike ride. They did whatever, right? So they knew when I picked them up, we were going to have conversations in the car before we left the school ground. Do you have everything you need? This is what the grade book is showing me. What do we need to do? They knew, right? And if they would ask me, can I go do this on Friday night or Saturday night? My first response was, I don't know. Can you? Because they knew they needed to talk about what the grades were and what their situation was. And then the second thing was check the calendar. I've already checked the calendar. Yes, my grades are all good. We're no issues there. You can pull it up. This is that they got into high school. I pulled back on that to let them have the autonomy. All right, so grade book is good. No missing assignments, nothing you need to be studying for because you did poorly on, and now we gotta, spend the weekend studying. Nope, we're good. All right, I've checked the calendar. Calendar is free. All right, well then there you go. All right, now if any of those things hadn't happened, I'd been known to call them and tell them you need to come home now. Right? They're like, wait a minute, that just got put in the grade book. It wasn't there, whatever. So we would look at when it was entered and we would have that conversation again, right? Did they miss it or did a teacher just populate it? And now I'm seeing it. So, but you have to give the kids the autonomy. They got to figure it out because we're raising adults. We're not raising children.
Yeah. And one of the things I liked, it was a quote. He said some really great bangers. Very beginning. I was like, yeah. What was it? Like, we're not in the business of making our kids happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not to be their best friend.
I highlighted that. Yep.
And if your kid is saying, I hate you, good job, mom. Good job, dad.
Yeah.
You're doing it
Yeah.
right.
Your job as a parent is not to create a happy child.
Create a productive member of society.
Yeah.
And also, I thought this was great. Well, actually, you might have more questions. Am I just going into the next? Yeah, cool. Just want to make sure. Because this is something I think we see a lot of as therapists of parents bringing their kid here to help my kid. My kid's got things. And so in the book, he says, you are the key to changing your child's thinking and actions. For this to work, it requires you to become the kind of parent you want to be. It requires your decision to stand up and be a parent rather than a pushover. But it's it starts with you more than it starts with them.
And what's his saying then throughout the whole book? Attitudes are taught and not caught. So if you've got a mouthy teen, you need to be looking at yourself. Hands down, I had mouthy teens. Guess what? I know exactly where it came from. Right? I can been very opinionated and very passionate. I know exactly where that's coming from. I've just had to teach them how to use it for good and not evil. And that's not how we talk to one another. You don't hear me talk to you that way. And if I do, because I'm human and I've had a bad day, then I 100% come back and apologize to my kids. I went off and that wasn't yours, right? I was upset about something else and all of that emotion that I was feeling and I directed at you was not yours. Am I upset at something that you did or didn't do? Yes, I am. But the way I exploded was not appropriate.
Yeah.
And I apologize for that. We have to model that. Right? If you don't apologize to your kids are not going to apologize. They're not going to grow up to think that that's something that you do. Right? He talks about courtesy and saying, thank you to people for their time and it's sirs and ma'ams and holding doors open and please. All of those things are taught. They don't just happen. But it certainly makes your life a whole lot easier as an adult when you've learned to implement those things on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've got to be thinking about the professor that they come up against, the boss, the colleagues that don't care, right? They're not jerks, but they don't need to be all in your emotions and your business. Like, this is a place of education. This is a place of academia. This is a place of business. I don't need to manage your emotions. We're just doing work here.
Mhm.
That's for you to figure out outside of here.
I think too, we forget we weren't like, it's like once you hit adult, you forget you weren't built in with the like manners and the courtesy and just the knowingness of what you should and shouldn't do. Like, we weren't born with it either. We learned it from somewhere. Whether that even be if our parents taught us or if we saw something negative happen because of X. So we were like, well, we don't want to do that, right? And so it's just funny that then we start to expect our kids to be born with it.
Very true. And I feel like this is a little off topic, but I feel like even in Texas, like the manor culture is so much stronger than other places. Because when I lived in Colorado, like I did not notice like people having manners, like especially kids, like, and I was like, what?
Look, Cece, I remember being 6 months pregnant with my oldest and moving to Colorado. And this is not a dig, but this is just something to say, like, yes, it needs to be taught. It doesn't just come. But I would, born and raised here in Texas. And a difference, yes, we still have courtesy, but I will say, Cece, over my lifetime, it's definitely changed because our demographics has changed, much more diverse, different cultures, different states, like it's just different. But when I moved to Colorado, 6 months pregnant, and I am very much like all belly, right? You could not mistake that I was pregnant. And I'm opening doors for other people. And nobody stops to say, oh my gosh, let me do that for you. It was just like, it hurt my heart.
Okay.
I was like, this is not like, what? Like, pregnant people, elderly, children, we take care of them. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. Help them with the groceries, help them with the doors, help them with to get into their vehicle. Like, what?
Yeah.
So yes. And as I was raising my children, because we moved when my oldest was 6. So they were 6, 5, and 3. I got comments all the time from people about how courteous and respectful my children were. And it was like an anomaly, like we're at the restaurant and one kid is beginning to melt down, as kids will do. And it was a very quiet conversation of, do I need to take you outside? And the little kid's eyes would be like, nope, I'm good. Right? Couple of times, yep, let's go outside. And we'd have a conversation. There might be a spanking, might not, just depended on which kid it was and where they were, and they're all different. And then we walk back inside, they climb back up into their seat, and that was it. And almost every time